Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through the notes on cumulative frequency graphs. At the end of this, you should be able to say, I can create a cumulative frequency table and hence a cumulative frequency graph and use both to interpret data. Okay, so first thing, a cumulative frequency graph is a visual representation of a cumulative frequency column in a frequency table. Okay, so that's something that we've done earlier on in this chapter. I will show you an example that will make this make a lot more sense. Okay, a percentile is a score below which a certain percentage of the data lies. So, for example, if your thumb size is the 80th percentile, then 80% of the people have a smaller thumb size than you, and then 20% of the other 20% of the people have a thumb size that is larger than yours. Okay, so that's what a percentile is. All right, now with that, let's take a look at an example here. Example 11, the data shows the lengths of an anteater's tongue, or tongues, okay? Well, we don't have multiple tongues. It's the lengths of an anteater's tongues. There we go. First thing, add a cumulative frequency column to the table. I can do that really easy. Look, there, done. So we're going to add a cumulative frequency column to the table. B, we're going to represent the data on a cumulative frequency graph, and that is going to be this here, cumulative frequency graph. We'll talk about this here in a second. And then C, we're going to use our graph to estimate all of these different things here. So first things first, let's fill in this cumulative frequency thing here. So we've got tongue length between 12 and 14. There's 8 of those. So cumulative frequency, there's 8 total so far that we've counted. Okay. Now there's 12 that are between 12 and 16. So now there's a total between 8 and 12. Now there's a total of 20. So this is just a running total here. Okay. 20 plus 15 is then 35. Add 20 more, and that is 55. Plus 24 is 79. Add 19, and that is 98. Add 13 more, and that is what, 111, right? Sorry, I had a hard time with that. 8, 9, 10, 11 plus, yeah. Okay, and then 9 more for 120 total. Okay, so we've done our cumulative frequency column to the table, added that to the table, and then now we're going to represent this data on a cumulative frequency graph. So here's what we're going to use over here. So our tongue lengths in inches. So I put this little zigzag on here to show that there's a break. It doesn't start right at 0. We're just going to start right here with 12, 14, 16, 18, because otherwise we've got a big chunk of our graph is all blank and not used. So we just put this little zigzag in there. Okay, and then this here is going to be our cumulative frequency up this way. So let's graph our data on there. Okay, so first one between 12 and 14. Okay, so really what we want to do is we want to take the median of this. So right between 12 and 14 is 13. So at 13 we are at 8. So that's going to be about right here. Okay, at 15 we're now cumulative frequency. So we're going to use these numbers here instead of these, because otherwise that would just be kind of like up and down here. This is going to be our cumulative, so it's always going to be growing. Okay, so 15 is going to be at 20. Right, so there's that one. And then let's see, between 16 and 18 is 17. That's 35. So I'm going to go through and just plot all these points here. Okay, so here's all of our data, all graphed. That's all these numbers and all the medians of these numbers, these values, this range here. Okay, so then what we want to do with this is now to make a cumulative frequency graph. Best thing to do is we're just going to connect all these here with little straight lines. Okay, so here's our cumulative frequency graph here with all the dots connected together here with straight lines. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier to calculate these things here. But before we calculate those things there, let's take a quick little comedy break. Okay, so use your graph to estimate the median tongue length. Okay, so the median tongue length is going to be the one that's right in the middle. So now here's the thing. If we've got 120 total, we want the median is going to be half of that, right? So we're simply going to take, I'm going to change the color back here. Let's see, let's do this. Okay, sorry. 120 over 2 gives us 60. Okay, so we want to find the 60th piece of data, which is going to be right in here. So let's do this. So what we do is you can just basically just draw a line here. So here's 60, and we just go over it right until where it hits our graph, which is right here, and then you just draw a line straight down to wherever that's going to be. So that looks like that's right in here, right? Basically about, in this case, about 19 and a half or something like that. Okay, so about 19, sorry, hard to read there. So about 19.5 would be the median of that data. Maybe a little bit less, maybe just plain old 19, but anyway, that's about the median. Okay. Estimate the number of anteaters with a tongue length that is less than 21 inches. So we're going to do the same thing here. Now we're going to go to, say, 21. Let's use maybe let's just use a different color, make this easier. So we'll go to 21, which is right here, and we do the same idea. But now since we have the tongue length and we want to estimate the percent, we go from 21 up to here, and then draw a line straight over, and that tells us that that's going to be about 80 inches on. Sorry, the 80, that's the cumulative frequency would be 80. So that would mean that there's about 80 anteaters that have a tongue length that is less than 21 inches. If it was more than 21 inches, then we'd have to go the difference between 80 and 120. That would be what, 40. Okay, so number of anteaters with a tongue length, more than 23 inches. So now they're going to give us a similar type problem there. So let's try that one. So more than 23. So here's our 23. So we draw a line straight up. Good thing about the graph is it helps us to draw a nice straight line. We go over there, and that's going to be about 100. Okay, so actually that's not going to be 100. There's 100 that, like the first 100 have a average tongue length that is less than 23, so then we would have to actually do 120 minus 100, which would give us that there are 20 antelopes with a tongue length more than 23 inches. Okay, and then tongue length of an anteater in the top 25% of tongue length. Okay, so to figure out the top 25% of tongue length, we know that we have 120, so we want to do the top 25. So that is going to be the 75th percentile. So multiply that by 0.75, and then that should help us figure this out. Okay, so let's see, we're going to do 120 times 0.75, and we are looking for the 90th. We're going to look for the 90th piece of data here. Okay, so then what we would do, again, same idea here. We're just going to go over at, say, 90 right here, and we're going to go over until we hit the graph, which is about right there, and we go down, and that is at 22. So that would be 22 inches. Okay, that is how you create your cumulative frequency table, which you've done before, but that's how you also create a cumulative frequency graph, and how you use that graph to help you predict data. Okay? All right, if you have any further questions, please feel free to ask in class. Thanks.